Gemini, welcome to your reading. I've forgotten the normal setup, so it's a slightly strange angle this morning, but I think it's alright. It's nice being warmed on the back by the sun. I hope that's not too distracting. So, I've laid your cards, and we're going to do a little general reading for the next sort of small period of time, say sort of 3 to 6 weeks. Maybe could go a bit longer than that, maybe 3 months. And so, you have got four majors. So it feels like sort of quite a kind of strong time for you. And then we've got a smattering of 3 cups. Anyway, let's just dive in. It's an interesting time of renewal, and I don't pretend to be an astrologer, but I know that Uranus has just moved into your sign from Taurus, where it wasn't very happy. And Uranus, that likes veering changes and strange things and sort of surprises, is much better suited to you. And maybe you're energized by that. It feels a bit like that. So there's a sense of something you want to go for, and a reinvigoration of your life force and your efforts in life to go after something new, something along those lines. It'll come out. Anyway, you internally, we've got the Fool leaping off that cliff with the white dog. Oh good, I've got my glasses, that's good. Not that they're very clean. And let's see what's with the sun a bit like me behind it today, and I am seeing the icebergs or whatever those are at the bottom. And I am also seeing that he looks sort of, to me today, a little bit unsure. And what's that on the front of his bag? Is it a fish? Look at his expression, and what do you see on the front of the bag? Maybe the camera will pick it up. Anyway, so this attitude of diving into a new part of life, feeling very optimistic. The Fool can come at any point in the arcana, or even that, because he's a 0, there's not the sense of progression. It can come and reinvigorate things at any point. And it's really about saying internally that you're feeling optimistic and delighted, and sort of as if you want to have a go at something, and you might be a little naive in that respect, but there's a strong chance that with the sun at your back and all that yellow, it's going to be successful. The mountains in the background indicate there will be challenges. Well, that's just life, but it feels wonderful. You have everything you need. It's interesting to me that the pomegranates are on his coat, which is the same as the cloth that sits behind the High Priestess, these beautiful pomegranates. The sort of richness and the delight and the sort of sensuality of life, really. And he's got his knapsack, which has got what he needs, the white rose of purity, and his little dog, and the sort of staff, which indicates his passion. Yeah, so that's you internally. How it makes you feel externally is the King of Cups. Emotional. One day you feel one way, the next another. You might feel very sure and then unsure. You might feel... it's funny, I sort of imagined, did I see a fish on the knapsack? I don't know why. And then, of course, the King of Cups wears a fish around his neck. So the sense of bringing in the water element to a card, the Fool, that doesn't have much water about it. And now what it's doing is sort of externally you might feel a little bit drowned in emotion. You know, the king is, he's a king, so he's in charge, but the person who taught me always says, you know, he'd rather probably prefer not to be a king. He'd prefer to be a knight or a page, something a bit more romantic, where his emotional nature isn't sort of bound by the fact that he has to be a ruler, that he has to be in charge. So I get that. But he looks quite determined, and I feel like you're riding the waves of these feelings. In the basis of the reading, we've got the Queen of Wands, which is wonderful. I saw a little Instagram reel about the fact that Pamela Coleman Smith, who illustrated these cards, used to have a friend whose name I haven't got at the moment in my head, as the model for it. And she was, I think, a writer or an actress. And she was openly gay and lived with her lover, and then joined in their relationship by a third, and so therefore represent somebody quite unconventional unconventional for that time. And that's sort of probably the stance, with her legs open. And this little black cat was actually the model's black cat, apparently. She had a little being like that. But for the purposes of the card, what they mean is, these images is, this is at the root of this reading, is something that wants to express itself, that's utterly authentic and creative and very intuitive. And again, has got this sunny optimism of the sunflowers behind her, the intuition of the cat holding the staff like that fool. She's looking away from us like the fool does as well, in the other direction, sort of on the hunt for something. And she's very commanding and creative and delightful, really. She does what she needs to do, not what convention asks of her. So that's the root feeling. In the recent past, we've got the Ten of Pentacles, thinking about your inheritance or your security, or that kind of area of generational wealth being brought into your consciousness. Families, how are the family doing? How is everyone settled and cared for? And how, I mean, you could have been having a really lovely time recently. You might have had some inheritance. You might have felt quite secure. You might have been connected to those that you love. But there's a sense of wealth building in all senses, not just money, but in it could be about just security. And maybe because the 10 is a completion, maybe if you've had an experience of great security and sort of sealing something up and completing something, that gives you the impetus to start with the 0 again, with the fool that wants to jump in and start something new. Maybe that's something to do with it. I'm wondering how clean, if I move it, it might just be my screen that's not clean. I'm going to leave it. I was using sun cream yesterday, so you never know. Where it might be going is the Knight of Swords. This, again, a fast energy of taking a risk, a bit like the Fool. So you might use all of this impetus. The Queen of Wands is unconventionality. Oh, my words this morning. And the Fool wanting to start again, to leap in and make some sort of change. I'm noticing those yellow things on the horses. So they're butterflies and little birds. Okay, there's lots of little birds. Flight. You know, I just I just had, so the 2 little red birds, and also then if you look at his coat, it has quite a lot more red birds on it. They're harder to see, but they're there. Sorry, they're bluebirds on a red background. I just had some pigeons that had their eggs that I've watched grow into little fledglings before I left, and very happily for me, I saw them fly, and it feels sort of amazing. But it's that kind of the unbelievable situation of being able to take flight from an idea, and suddenly there's a sort of high level of faith that has to go into that first flight. So, but it feels like taking a risk, and seeing lots of birds, it might feel quite fool-like. But with the Knight of Swords, we say there's a 70-30% chance that you're going to be successful. But then coming up next is, I said that the King of Cups prefers to feel like the Knight of Cups. We've got the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles. So this is in the near future. They're really unusual to see them together. They popped out together, and it's unusual to see the images side by side. And you can really see how these are two of the most selfless, they are the 2 most selfless of the knights. So we've got 3 knights here. We're missing the Knight of Wands, which is interesting. But these 2 are really thinking about service and can look after things very well. One has got the romance and the emotion and wants to offer to others. And this one is very good at growing and tending and looking after and that in itself is an act of service, really. So this kind of action energy, because of the Fool, the Queen of Wands, the Knights, who are based in action, these two are the slower of them. You know, they're more about taking action in a domestic setting or in your near surrounds, and really looking after things. So you might be compelled to sort of start tending and offering some emotion to those around you. I wonder what this is about. But your attitude, the Devil, it's not really a but. It goes quite well with the Queen of Wands. There's a sense of, it could be about addictions. It could be being tied to things that you don't love or people, because that's a huge implication with the Devil. But also it feels as if you might have sort of uncovered some new passion, and that works better with the idea of this kind of new Uranus energy that's kind of working its way into your consciousness and all of ours, with the Gemini. It's sort of feeling as if you're infused with some of that, a sort of wanderlust, a sort of ability to think that change might be possible, and what is it that you're really passionate about. So you're feeling, I would say you're feeling quite passionate, because the Fool, the Knight of Swords brushing, and then this kind of Knight of Cups that's offering so kindly to everyone else. So it's interesting. And when I look at the two, what your home life is like, I see these two knights here headed towards this third horse of the death. So it feels as if there's a big change and renewal going on in home. And these two are kind of steadying this rebirth experience somehow, bringing their sort of steadying influence and their emotional balm to this moment in your home life where things are being reborn. There's the death of the old king and the new king has risen. There's the sun coming up, a bit like Oz is trying to do. It's quite sort of watery this morning. I think it's about to break through those clouds. What am I saying here? So the home is being renewed somehow. Something has changed or is about to change in your home. And as I said, there's that card for sort of inheritance at the end. I don't know if somebody is experiencing a loss. There is a chance that somebody in your near family could have died. It's very unusual for death to actually mean death, but there is a potential when I see the inheritance card as well, and that would lead to a new start. And now you might be shoring everything up, and maybe you're the new king or queen, metaphorically. I'm looking at the little sort of Cossack looking child who's got that red hat and that lovely instrument that looks like a snail. This rebirth and the fact that the knights, there's a lot of action around it and trying to sort of make it feel secure. It could just be that you are ready to take the next step. You could actually either be ending a relationship or starting a relationship more seriously. You know, it could be about feeling with that Ten of Pentacles in the background, I want to shore things up, I want to get married, or I want to move in, or I want to solidify this emotional experience somewhat. And that means change, and renewal in the house, and a death of an old way, or in your whatever you consider to be home. Or it could be leaving someone. So big change at home, and that makes you feel quite emotional, but you're acting in a way to shore that up. And your hopes and fears, wow, yeah, me too. The Star and the Three of Cups. You want to celebrate, you want to be happy and healed in this new environment. You want to be connected to what it is you truly want in that North Star guiding the Star card. You want to have the ability, the King of Cups that feels so emotional in your outside world, you want to have the ability, like the Star does, to give those emotions away, to be able to pour into the environment because you're so secure in yourself. And that little pink bird on the tree, talking about speaking to spirits and the ancestors and poetry and Mercury and Thoth and sort of ancient wisdom that you want to be connected to. The stars are so predominant in this image, particularly today for me. So I wonder whether this is about this kind of Uranus, the planetary movement. Kind of feels a bit like that. And you're hoping that this new phase, whether or not you're consciously aware of that movement, but will shake things up, allow for rebirth, particularly in the home area, allow for more passion somehow. Feels something like that. Anyway, we're going to cap these in a minute. And where it's going is to the Ace of Swords. This wonderful new idea, God-given or given from the divine, with the wreath of success hanging off the crown at the top and the yods of the blessings. We've got those mountains at the bottom that I noted in the Fool. So is it that through this new start that was sticking out to me in the Fool, is it that through this new start you the sort of there's the kind of gusto and the passion and the whimsy of the Fool, and the creativity of the Queen of Wands, and then the ability to go and take a risk with the Knight of Wands using your brain, and this relates somehow to that. There's this idea that's going to get you through the tough times. There's a really solid new thought that's so positive, that's so intelligent and incisive that it can scale those mountains. So it kind of brings quite a lot of grit to this picture of kind of leaping into change with lots of things in your backpack. But now we've got something that feels really powerful as an ally and a wonderful new idea. And maybe that's what's going to bring all of this change initially, is this one new start. But it feels like whatever it is you want to risk. So we've got Knight of Swords as a potential outcome, rushing in to make a change, and the Ace of Swords as the outcome. So it does feel like you are making the change, and it's with great positivity. I'm going to add some cards now. The Two of Pentacles. So for the moment, there's two realities that you might be living within. Even if you've had this concept of some change around your home, and for the moment there's a feeling that you're still living within two realities. But look, I put her down right beside the Queen of Wands, and there is that wonderful sunflower behind her which has got an eye in it. And I wonder whether you're considering something to do with the unconventionality. I can't use that word today. How unconventional the Queen of Wands is. Are you living between two realities, two versions of yourself, that you're wanting your more authentic self to come out? And the Queen of Wands seems to be involved in that image of the Two of Pentacles, where she's juggling these two realities because of the wonderful sunflower. So it feels like you're being pushed to the root of the reading, which is to become more like yourself at this moment, to become more creative and witchy and unique and authentic, and not worry about tradition. Bring in, so then here we've got the Seeker of Challenges. I think that's the King of Swords, and in this deck, this Enchanted Forest deck, and he is a protector. So he's kind of on a mission. I can't remember what the text of the book said, but he's working on behalf of, it's a bit like the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Swords and the Knight of Swords. He's coming in to protect you at this point of transition, I think. I think that's what it's talking about. Let's see, we're going to pull whatever we've got here. So I brought them all out with me. The Hangman. You have to see things from a radically new perspective, and it's the one that is enlightened. And in this image, it's got the sun coming up, so it's like, it feels very like the death card with the sun coming up in the background of it, this new dawn in your home life. You're having to see home life from a radically new perspective, and it's an enlightened one, and it's going to make you feel very, very happy. But there is a cost with Odin hanging upside down like this. This is who it's based on. He has to drop a coin from his pocket, and maybe it's one of these. In the context of this reading, maybe it's the inauthentic version of yourself, where you're juggling the authentic and the inauthentic. The cost to this new life is to drop the facade, and that might feel a bit painful in the short term, because people know you as one thing, you know yourself as one thing, and it's difficult coming out of the closet in whatever way, whether it's sexuality, I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming, or whether it's to be more authentically creative or witchy, or just you, that uniqueness. Oh, lovely. Evolution. This is an extra card in this pack. And where did I see those butterflies? Yeah, you are hurtling. They're on him, on the yellow butterflies there. You are hurtling towards an evolution. You're hurtling towards being authentically yourself. And it's going to feel really, really lovely, because it always feels better to be yourself than to pretend to be something else. Jenny Wren is here. This card comes out repeatedly from this deck for me, and I've never really read the book, or I haven't got it with me anyway, so I can't read it. But to me, it feels like the environment I'm sitting in at the moment, which is one of kind of great abundance and hope. Actually, sometimes I see it as spring, but now I'm really looking at it. We've got all of the seasons represented here. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. We've got acorns, honeysuckle, we've got berries on the holly, we've got cherries, we've got new buds of roses, we've got elderberry. It feels like all the seasons are represented. It feels a bit like that Ten of Pentacles. It feels like something coming to fruition, making sense in all seasons. Does that make sense to you? Making sense for all seasons, but being a time of great delight with that little wren who's singing her song through all the seasons. Her spirit being happy in all of these seasons somehow. And then here we've got place of knowledge and unconditional love. Unlock and release fear. Wow. So there might be some fear around this. What can we see in this picture? There really might be some fear that you're having to evolve into your true self. There's all these keys and bees and dragonflies and this beautiful otter. So, unconditional love. You will be loved anyway. Unlock and release your fear. Unlock and release your fear for whatever this passion is that the devil's representing, that you really want to go towards. What is it that you are truly? You can do this. There is community and healing. I'm going to pull you a charm. You've got the fairy, which might be Pixie, because she illustrated these. But it's sort of feeling like you've got the elemental world, and also she's got the butterfly wings. So it's sort of saying butterfly wings, evolution, be true to yourself. Think about your true nature, because the fairies are about nature. I hope that's helpful, and see you again.